Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week What's on My Plate. We're just going to wait 2 minutes to let some people join in. So, this week we'll be talking about obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD, and yeah, we'll just be waiting a few minutes, about 2 minutes, just let everybody join in, and then we'll get started.
Nice to meet you. Bye.
Okay, we're going to wait about 30 more seconds, and then we'll get started. Just waiting for everybody to join in. All right, so I'd like to thank everybody for joining and welcome to this week's What's on My Plate. This week we'll be talking about obsessive compulsive disorder. We'll be making ham, egg, and cheese bowls, but with a twist. So for our activity, I'm gonna need everybody to grab their kits, open them on up, and then you're gonna take out these two sheets right here. Okay? And then you're gonna put your kit to the side for now. We'll get back to it. So what we'll be using for activity is this package right here. So we won't be going through everything in the package. We'll just be going through certain activities, but the whole 5 pages is a good resource for you to use if you do experience OCD or know anyone else that experienced OCD. So very quickly, we're just going to go over what obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD, is. So OCD is an anxiety disorder dominated by obsessions, intrusive thoughts, images, and compulsive religious urges and behavioral responses to the thoughts. A lot of people with OCD feel very responsible for preventing a terrible thing from happening. Example, I must keep bacteria away from my family, otherwise they might get ill or die, and it will be my fault. Others don't have these type of thoughts, but may feel very uncomfortable and become increasingly anxious and distressed if they don't do what their head is telling them. So there is a cycle here, and the cycle is the cycle of OCD. So it starts off with an intrusive thought. So an example could be the house will burn down. I must check all the electronics. Next is the anxiety. So the anxiety is the physical sensation of the adrenaline response, physical urge to act. So that's like saying, "Oh, the house will burn down. I need to check on the electricity, so I have to get up and check all the electronics." And that's the anxiety. That's the urge that you have to do it. The next would be the compulsion. The compulsion is to go around the house, check all the plugs and sockets, and start again if interrupted. So you would go around, check everything, and then if you're interrupted, you'd start over and check it all again, just to make sure that the house is not burning down. And the relief is short term. As soon as you get done, you'll feel relaxed because you checked everything, nothing's burnt down. But then the intrusive thought will come back and the whole cycle will start again. And that's the cycle of OCD. So, in order to break the vicious cycle of OCD, we need to change the way we think and think about. We need to change the way we think and change what we do. So, we can make positive changes in each small cog in this cog wheel. So, on the next page, you guys will see a diagram here. I'll explain the diagram. So, the diagram is a bunch of cogs. So, these are cog wheels, right? So, in the middle is OCD, and around it are cogs that make the big cog in the are smaller cogs that make the big cog in the middle in the middle spin. So, around the big cog in the middle OCD, you have I must act on these thoughts. I'm responsible for bad things happening if I don't act. Trying to trying to stop the thoughts, doing the compulsion actions in our head, avoiding situations that might trigger the thoughts, seek reassurance, believe the intrusive thought, and believe the intrusive thoughts. So these all things are what making is what all these things are is what making the OCD active and keeping it working and moving. Right? So we can change this by making each cog a positive thought. So each small cog is a major part in keeping the OCD going. Slowing down or stopping each cog will slow down and stop the OCD from controlling you. By acting on each cog, you will take back control of your life from the OCD. So they're actually positive cogs. So next is another activity to help us think differently. So it involves challenging the thoughts and thinking about thoughts in a completely different way. So these techniques can help you change the cogs. So believing the intrusive thought, I must act on intrusive thought, I'm responsible, or trying to stop the thought. So let's also think of an imaginary playground with a bully. The particular bully isn't violent, but he taunts us, teases us, and laughs and criticizes us. Okay? He says cruel words like you're stupid, you'll never amount to nothing, you suck, you yada yada yada. You know, like how bullies do. So imagine this bully picks three victims. He approaches each victim with the exact same taunt, and the exact same way. So each victim may respond differently, and that will trigger a different reaction. So victim one believes the bully and becomes upset and hands over his lunch money to the bully. Victim two challenges the bully and says, I'm not stupid, and you failed your test and I passed. So who's really more stupid? Get out of here. The third hardly reacts. He looks at the bully, acknowledges him, turns around, continues playing. So how do you guys think the bully reacted to each victim? Well, it's quite, I'll tell you this. So he's probably going to go back to victim one to get more money the next day. He might try again with victim two, but he'll give up eventually because why would he want to keep on, someone attacking him when he's trying to attack them? And the bully probably won't bother the last victim again because that victim completely annoyed him, didn't give him the time of day. So your OCD. So this is an example of how you could fight back against your OCD by imagining your OCD as the bully in the playground, and instead of reacting like victim one did and believing what the bully is doing or saying, you can choose to react like victim number two and challenge the bully, which is your OCD. Or you could also simply acknowledge the bully, acknowledge the thought, and let it pass. And go on to doing something else to get your mind off that, so you don't fall into the cycle. Okay. So I'm gonna leave this. Actually, there's one more part of this booklet that we're gonna go through, which involves the other piece that looks like this, which is the mind bully. We're gonna talk about that real quick. So another way of looking at the mind bully is this. We tend to react to thoughts by fighting with them because we are so upset we just want to get rid of them. The best thing to do seems like fighting them is by fighting them away or trying to stop them. But maybe that's not so helpful. If you try not to think about a green elephant right now for 30 seconds, you're probably going to think about a green elephant because I just said you're going to think about a green elephant, right? That's how the mind works. But when you're on a diet, all we think about is food, right? The more we try not to think about something, is the more we're going to eventually think about it. We can keep the pressure up. Sorry. So now we're going to look at this sheet right here, right? So I'm going to read it out and you could follow. I'm going to read it out for you that don't have it at home. And if you have it at home, you could follow along with it. So the mind bully or monster is basically the anxiety or the depression. It seems very strong and big. It seems very It says very upsetting things and tries to pull us into a great pit of fear and despair. So we automatically pull harder on the rope to, to stop us from being dragged into the pit. The tug of war is constant and exhausting. The harder we pull, the harder the monster pulls. We feed the monster and make it bigger and stronger by pulling harder on the rope, by listening and paying attention to the monster, by believing in the monster, and by reacting to the monster, by how we feel and what we do. If if we could let go of the rope, what would happen? The monster would still be there, saying what it says, but it would have no power to pull us towards the pit. As we stop feeding the bully, gradually he'll weaken, get smaller, and be acquitted. So as we imagine the bully or monster as our OCD, let's let go of the rope. Notice and acknowledge the mind bully. Don't believe everything it's saying is really happening. Shift your focus of attention onto something else and do something else. Get your mind on another act and distract yourself from the bully overall. So that's it. That's all we're going to be using from this package. But again, I advise you guys to go over it. There's a lot of useful tips. And if I didn't explain something very clearly, just go ahead and take another look in here and it will clear up anything that we went over just now. So next we'll be getting started on the meal push on the cooking portion. So I'll be right back as I get everything ready. I suggest you guys to clear your space in front of you so you could chop, sizzle, fry, all of that good stuff, and wash your hands. That's what I'm gonna do as well. And I'll be right back. Okay, grab our kits once more. Cooking portion of our workshop. So it's not labeled, but if you open it up, our our ham, salt and pepper, eggs, and cheese. So what we're gonna do, parsley, can wash and be right back. So give it a quick. We'll just like so. Just give it. Just give it a quick chop. So some of you may be realizing that the title of this of the live says "No Mess," right? So that was the idea. We were supposed to be making ham, egg, and cheese balls, but unfortunately we got the wrong buns, so we couldn't make the bowls. So we're improvising, as we all do in this world. We have to improvise, and things don't always go as planned. So there's going to be a little bit of a mess this week. So now that we got our parsley nice and chopped, we're now going to take our cheese. So you guys have smaller blocks, so I'm just cutting mine typically a little bit smaller. And we are going to grate some cheese. Feel free to grate it more if more need be. So now that we have our parsley and cheese done, we're going to put these to the side. And what we're going to do is grab our buns, grab our ham, grab our eggs, salt and pepper, and we're going to head over to the stove. So I'm going to do that and I'll be right back. So now that we're over at the stove, what we're gonna do is turn on the stove and heat up our pan. And the first thing we're gonna do here, is toast our buns once our pan is heated. So we're gonna wait till our pan heats up. We're gonna add a little bit of butter or oil to our pan, and we're gonna toast our buns. So the heat is on in my pan, waiting for it to get nice and toasty. So in your guys' bag, you would have 3 buns. You have 3 buns. And what we're gonna do is divide up into 3 here. Okay. So once the pan is hot, we're gonna add a little bit of oil. So once your pan's hot, pan's not hot enough yet. Okay, so once your pan's hot, you're gonna wanna add your buns in. And again, you just want to get a nice light toast on your buns. So once the side starts to toast, then you want to flip. On both sides, then you want to take it off the heat. So once your buns are nice and toasted on both sides, then you want to remove them from the heat. Now you're going to want to add more oil to your pot. You're going to want to turn down the heat as well. So you're going to add more oil. Now you're going to add your ham to get it a little slightly cooked into the pan. You have 3 buns, so you will cook 1 slice of ham for each bun, so 3 slices of ham. So your ham's not going to take long to cook. Just give it about a few minutes on each side. I say it's not going to take long to cook. You're more of like warming it up. It's already cooked. So once your ham is nice and warm and crispy on each side, you're going to want to remove it from the heat. So all these are nice and done. So next is our eggs. So add a little bit oil to the pot. Now we're gonna crack our eggs. So I'm gonna go back over here for a second. To make it easier, instead of cracking the eggs directly into the pan, I'm gonna crack my egg into the bowl first, then put it into the pan. See here, I have my egg. And crack it into the bowl. So my eggs in the bowl now. We're gonna head back over to the stove. So while our eggs go in here, we're gonna take our salt and pepper. Just sprinkle some. So once your egg is cooked to your preferred wellness of doneness, some people like it runny, some don't. You're gonna want to flip. Get under, flip. You're also gonna want to season this side as well. Once your egg is cooked on both sides, we're gonna cook 2 more eggs, and then I'm gonna show you guys how to assemble. So you can put your fried egg on some paper towel or whatever to drain the excess oil, and put it to the side for now. And then we're gonna cook 2 more, and then get into assembly. So I'm gonna take this, put this to the side. So I got the other egg here. Rolling it. So while that's going, we're gonna add our salt, some pepper. Just want to make sure you're able to flip it. Get under. Then we're going to season this up. And again, just like what you did with the egg before, you're going to want to, once this is done, you're going to remove it from the heat, set it on paper towel to let it strain, and set it aside. And then we're going to cook 1 more, and then we're going to get into the assembly. So I got egg here. So over again, salt, and red pepper. So now we're done with the stove. Turn it off. Now that we're done with the stove, make sure you turn it off. And now I'll meet you guys back over at the counter to assemble this bad boy. Okay, so now we're back at the counter. We have all of our ingredients in front of us here. So let's get started. So what we're going to do is take our bun and open it up. Take a piece of ham, put that inside. Okay. Next is take egg, and fold it in just like so. Next is we're going to finish it off. Some cheese. And some parsley. and it's gonna look like so. So originally, it's supposed to be a bowl. We're supposed to have bread rolls. We're supposed to cut the top off, scoop out the center, line it with the ham, crack an egg on top, crack an egg into the bowl, sprinkle it with cheese, garnish it with some parsley, put it in the oven, and the ham will cook, the egg will cook, the cheese will melt, it'll be nice and gooey. But unfortunately, the wrong buns came, so we had to make do. And I would say it doesn't look too bad. Let's see how it tastes. It's actually really good. So I'm gonna take one more bite, and then we'll get into our discussion. So, sorry, let me just clear everything out the way, and I'll be right back. Okay, now that I'm cleaned up a bit, let's get into the discussion part of today. So, like I said earlier, obsessive compulsive disorder is the long version of OCD. So, OCD is an extreme disorder dominated by obsessions and compulsions. Dominated by obsessions and compulsions. A lot of people with OCD feel very responsible for preventing terrible things from happening. Compulsions may be overt or obsessive behaviors, or covert hidden mental rituals such as counting, repeating things, questioning, or checking. A few people only experience obsessions, and small minority only compulsions. There are some other variants of OCD such as perfectionism or trichol like uh, perfectionism or hair pulling, compulsive skin picking, and body dysmorphic disorder, in which people believe a particular part of their body is defective and is constantly checking on it, or plan to make an attempt to hide or change the defect of their body. So OCD can start anytime, beginning as early as preschool and continuing all the way into adulthood. Age, sorry, it tends to develop earlier in males than it does in females. Males between 6 to 15 may begin to develop OCD, while females may begin to develop OCD between 20 and 29 years old. So, like I said earlier, it typically begins in your adolescence, but can start in early childhood or adulthood. The onset of OCD is typically gradually, but in some cases, it may start suddenly. Symptoms fluctuate in severity from time to time, and this fluctuation may be related to the occurrence of stress level of events. Research shows that OCD runs in families and that genes likely play a role in the development of this disorder. Genes appear to often responsible for the cause of this disorder through it is thought that it is more likely a combination of genetics and environmental influences. So that's it for me this week. I'd like to thank you all for joining, and we'll be with you again next week. Take care, guys.